First off, I want to apologize because I have a bit of a stutter and might speak haltingly throughout the exposition. In today's world, technology has developed at an ever-increasing pace, almost exponentially every year. Today, I'm here to talk to you about a very specific branch of a very specific area of study which has developed in that way. In robotics, specifically, in particular, legged robots. From the simplest kind of legged robot, the single-legged robot or hopping robot, to far more complex and inorganically inspired robots, I will lead you through the eases and complexities of each and every kind of these robots. The single-legged robot, or hopping robot, as I mentioned before, is simplicity itself. One could be forgiven for thinking otherwise, since instinctually we would think that balancing on a single leg is more complex than it is on two. However, mechanically speaking, that's not the case. A single-legged robot has only three variables to deal with, which are its height at any given time, the strength or force of its jump, of the impulse, and the angle that that impulse forms with a nominally flat plane upon which it moves. With those three variables, it can control its speed, its location, and its balance at any given time. A two-legged robot, however, would be exponentially more harder to create. We don't realize that humanoid movement is incredibly complex. At any given time, we have to subconsciously take into account our balance, our center of mass, and how it moves with us from one step to the other, changing the contact point, which we will henceforth be calling the support polygon or support pattern, with every step. That is incredibly complex to compute mathematically, and it's incredibly complex. Just leave it at that. Since we cannot actually have a human controller behind the robot, we have to find a way to deal with that. Since our center of mass is never at any given point aligned with the support polygon, we came up with the idea of the zero moment point. When you add all of the forces present in the contact point in that support polygon, you can add them up into a single resultant force, which is applied at a single point, creating no moment whatsoever. That is what we call the zero moment point, and that is what we will replace the center of mass with in our calculations. At any given point, to avoid unbalancing a robot, the zero moment point must be present in the support polygon, and it must be present in the support polygon and I'm sorry, I got stuck. At any given point, the zero moment point must be within the support polygon. Otherwise, we risk unbalancing the robot. This becomes increasingly more difficult to calculate when you consider that you have to change the support polygon with every step you take, making it increasingly difficult. This can be avoided simply by adding more legs to the system. A multi-legged robot doesn't have a need for a support polygon, because each contact point for each of its legs creates a vertex of what we call the support pattern. And so long as the vertical projection of its center of mass is within that support pattern, it's almost impossible for it to fall. However, we have another problem to deal with, which is the gait. At which given point does each leg move? Which one stays still? There are a large variety of answers to this question, each of which depends on what you prefer in your movement: stability, speed, or some other factor. And that is before we even get into legged robots that don't actually have feet or simply supports at the end, but tools like suction cups to hold on to a window, for example, or wheels for a more inorganic type of movement. However, every single one of these legged robots can be measured against each other, considered for which one would be preferable for your case, by taking into account just three variables. These are the variables by which we measure these robots and gauge their quality, their qualities, and quality for what we want. They are the stability margin, which is the measure by which a dynamic legged robot is stable or keeps from falling. I'm sorry. It is the stability margin, the specific resistance, and the duty factor. The duty factor measures the amount of time in each cycle that each leg is in contact with the ground, supporting the legged robot. And the specific resistance is an adimensional number which measures the efficiency of power used during the cycle. By gauging each of these in consideration with what we're looking for in our robot, we can decide which type of robot best suits our needs. And that's all.